Hi, this is James from Square Internet with another WordPress tutorial. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to create a contact form for your WordPress website using WP Forms, which is a popular WordPress contact form plugin. One thing to mention is that in terms of performance, WP Forms is a bit better than something like Contact Form 7, which is quite a resource intensive plugin and can slow down your website. So that might be one reason to use WP Forms over Contact Form 7. I'd also say that over time, having used both plugins quite a lot, that WP Forms I would say is more beginner friendly and just easier to use overall, I would say. So what we've got here is a development site that I've set up. It's a fresh installation of WordPress and it's got the storefront WordPress theme, which is the free theme from WooCommerce, and we're going to create a WP form and then we're going to embed it on the website. So I'm going to show you how to create a form and then how to put the form somewhere on your website for your users to use. So the first thing that we need to do is make sure that we've got WP Forms installed, which I have. If you haven't got it installed, you can go to the plugins library, click add new, and then search for the WP Forms plugin like this, and you just need to install it on your website. So the first thing that we need to do is create a new form, and we're going to click into WP Forms, click on the add new button, and it's going to let us create a new form. So the best thing for this video is for me to create a blank form just to show you how everything works. Okay, so we've got a new form here. And what you're looking at here is the builder screen for the form. So we're in the field section here. As you can see, there's a setup section where we created our form. We've got fields, settings, marketing and payments. I'm not going to cover marketing and payments in this video, but as you can see, WP Forms comes with a lot of built-in integrations. So you can connect your forms to things like Drip and MailChimp if you upgrade to the premium version of the plugin, which is really useful if you're running marketing campaigns or you have an e-commerce store that's getting a good amount of traffic and sales. Might be really handy to connect your form to Drip or MailChimp, for example. And then you can also connect Stripe and PayPal to your forms if you want to handle payments on the forms. For the purpose of this video, we're going to be looking at fields and settings mostly, and we're going to create a simple contact form now using the selection of fields we can get from the field screen. So let's just start with something simple and let's do a contact form. So I'm going to drag a single line text box there. I'm going to put an email field because we're going to need to take an email. So we've got a text field there where we could take the user's name, we'll take their email, and usually you'd want a message field where the user can actually leave their message, which is the paragraph text field in WP Forms, I think. Should see a big box. Yeah, okay. So we've got the three core parts of a simple form, which are usually the name of the user, an email address so that we can respond to them, and the message that the user wants to send. So now I'm going to show you how we can change the labels of the fields so that it doesn't say single line text and paragraph text. And it's really simple, as you can see. We just need to click on the field, and then where it says label, we're just going to change that to name. We can set a description for the fields if we wanted to, so the name of the user, and it will display beneath the field. I don't really think that's necessary on that field, but we might put a description on the email box actually. label email address. So I'll show you how the description works. So email address is a required field. Just put that there. I mean, it shows the required star there, but that could be quite useful. Paragraph text, let's just change this to how can we help. We're going to make all the fields required, actually. So you have the option of making a field required or not required. And if it's a required field, then obviously the user has to fill it out for the form to fire. And if it's not filled out, the form will display an error message telling the user basically, you need to fill in this field. Okay, so let's save the form at this point. Okay, so we've got a basic contact form, and now what I want to do before we do anything more is to embed the form on a page, just so that we can see how it looks. And we can do that using this shortcode. So to embed this on your site, please paste the following shortcode inside a post or a page. So what we need to do is copy this shortcode and then paste it onto a page for the form to show up, which I'm going to show you now. If we now view this page, we can see our form here. So that was nice and easy, right? Got a simple contact form now. But what I'm going to do now is show you how you can change the layout of the form. So for instance, you might want to have two fields on one line, for example. Rather than having these two fields on separate lines, you might want name and email address on one line, which could make sense. So I'm going to show you how you can customize the layout of your forms a bit. So just to come back now to the form editor, we want to put these two on the same line. So we're going to come down here to CSS Classes and then show layouts. And as you can see, it's got built-in layouts, which I think is really cool. Something that makes it really easy to use for beginners or people that don't have a lot of technical knowledge. So we're going to select this layout, and out of these two boxes we want name to appear on the left of this new row that we're creating, a 2-column row. So we'll select that, and it types in the CSS classes automatically for us, so we haven't got to do anything with code. And then we'll come over here and we'll do the same. I'm going to click on Advanced Options, Show Layouts, and we need to make sure that both of these fields have the same layout for this to work. And so if you had 3 fields, for example, you'd need to make sure that each one of them had selected the 3-column row layout. I'm going to select the 2-column row layout, and I'm going to click on the right hand column of the row. And if you compare the two, you'll see the CSS classes applied are different. So they've both got this WP Forms 1/2, which splits the row into 2 columns, but this one's got WP Forms first, making it the left hand column in the row. Now if we save and update, we should see these 2 fields displaying on one row, if we've done everything right, which I think we have. Yep, okay. So now we've got the 2 fields on one row, but they look a bit weird now because we've got all this space. So what we want to do now is to look at the field size, which determines how much of the row the field actually takes up. Because if you compare this top field to the bottom field, you'll see that this is taking up all of the box. But there's you can see the box there, the dotted lines, which represent the row that the field is in. But you can see that there's still a lot of space around the field. So what we need to do is make sure that both of the fields are set to large, which makes them take up all the space in the row. And because we've set it to a 2-column row, they're going to take up all the space in their respective columns. And now if we click update, should look a bit better. Yep, so now they're taking up the whole of the column that they sit in, the 2-column row, and that's looking a bit better. So really simple and straightforward. Let's just go over the placeholder text quickly. That's something that's quite useful, I think. So the placeholder text is going to display in the actual field before the user types anything. So I'll show you an example. Please input your name here, email address. Oh no, let's just keep it consistent. So please input your email address here. And it might be useful to have something telling the users a bit more about what information you need from them. So please provide information about the services you need, your timeline, and your budget, and we will be in touch as soon as possible. If we click save and update, you see that we've got placeholder text in all of the form fields, so it looks a bit more professional. And then if the user starts typing, they can type as they usually would, and the placeholder text will just disappear. And as the fields are all required, we need some input here, or it's going to, flag an error and say this is required. Okay, so nice and simple and straightforward. So we've covered adding new fields using add fields. We've covered the label, which appears above the field, placeholder options, placeholder text, which is the text that shows inside the field before the user types, and we've covered the layout. So these are the core parts of most contact forms that you'll need to cover. And what we need to go over now quickly is the notification section, which handles where the form actually goes when it's submitted. So the send to email address, set by default to the admin email, so the email address of the WordPress administrator, but you can change this to whatever email address you want. The subject will be the subject of the email that you receive from the form, so you can change that to whatever you like. From name, it's fairly self-explanatory, and the from email. And then here where it says all fields, this pulls in all the fields from the form to make sure that when the form's submitted, everything actually reaches the email address you want it to. So we'll just save that. And then finally, let's look at confirmation just quickly. So the default confirmation for when the form is submitted, so when the user submits the form, they'll see this. Thanks for contacting us, we'll be in touch with you shortly. But you can actually set this to a couple of things. So you can show a page for when the form's submitted, or you can redirect to a specific URL after the form's been submitted. So if you had a thank you page and the URL was your website thank you, you could just put /thank you, and once the form's submitted, the user will be redirected to your thank you page. So as you can see, it's really simple to use, it's really user friendly, I think, compared to some of the forms out there, which is one of the reasons I'd recommend it. One final thing I'll just cover quickly. I might do some more detailed tutorials on WP Forms later, but I just want to cover the basics for you in this video. I'll just show you quickly how to apply CSS classes to your form. So the WP Forms website and documentation, you can check this out if you just Google WP Forms CSS styles. They actually provide a lot of detailed documentation on the stuff you need to target to alter the form. I just want to change the background color of the button on the form quickly for you, just to show you. Okay. So all that I'm going to do is go to Appearance, Theme Editor. I'm just going to go into styles.css quickly. And what I'm doing is I'm just copying and pasting the selectors from the WP Forms website. They've listed here, which is going to allow me to style the submit button, which is this. I'm just going to change the background color of it by saving these styles. So we don't need all of this. So that should change it to a grey background before you refresh. Already is a grey background, I think, so let's just say red. We might be seeing some cache there. Okay, so as you can see, that's allowed us to change the background color of the submit button. But there's also the option here, CSS classes, where you can apply your own custom styles to specific fields. So if I just go back to the fields a minute, and if I click on name, I'm just creating a new class to apply here alongside the classes that WP Forms has input. For some reason it's not liking that. Just check why. Okay, so we had to use the important declaration to override probably the default styles of either storefronts or WP Forms, but I just wanted to show you that that's where you use your own CSS classes. If you want to apply them to a field, you can just click on the field and scroll down to CSS classes. Probably the better way to do it though is to look through the documentation of WP Forms. They've got selectors for everything in their plugin, and to find the right selector, for example paragraph text field, to grab the selector here using their example, and then to just change the CSS they provide for the CSS that you want. That's probably the best way to do it. And if you need to style just one form, then you can find the ID for your form and apply the CSS just to one form, or you can apply the CSS to every WP Forms form just by picking the selectors here. So change the progress indicator on all your WP Forms by writing code and using this selector. So you grab the code, you place it in your styles.css, update the file, and then you should see the changes reflected on your form. You might need to use the important declaration in some instances to override stuff from your theme or other plugins. But as I've said, you can grab all the selectors you need here if you do need to apply any custom CSS. Most of the time you shouldn't need to if you've set up global styles, if it's managed by your theme, or if you use Elementor, you can set up default fonts and colors and stuff like that. But yeah, here's where you can apply the custom CSS if you do need to, and you can grab selectors and advice on how to do this from the WP Forms website. So a nice simple video showing you how to set up a basic contact form, how to embed it on a page, and then how to apply custom CSS if you do want to do that. Hopefully you found the video useful. Thanks for watching, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for future videos and lots of free content on WordPress and WooCommerce.